24 Liberal MPs went to his caucus today to tell him that he's not worth the crime, cost, or corruption. They wanted to tell him that he's doubled housing costs, doubled the national debt, sent 2 million people to the food banks, but he wouldn't let them. He silenced half of the dissidents.
In our caucus, people have always been free to speak their mind and have different perspectives. What is interesting, Mr. Speaker, is nobody in the Conservative caucus seems to have spoken out when one of their members got an all-expenses-paid trip to an extreme anti-abortion church in Florida. Nobody spoke out when one of the members on their front bench went and dined with white nationalists, far-right German nationalists, and nobody spoke up and is continuing to speak up when their leader refuses to get a security clearance so he can deal with foreign interference.
The honourable member from Burnaby South.
Has the Prime Minister actually ever been to a grocery store?
I've actually been to a grocery store with you, Mr. Speaker, in your riding a few years ago in Hull Elmer. And I've been to many grocery stores since.
Well, it's good to know that you and the Prime Minister like to go grocery shopping together, Mr. Speaker. And if you had, you would know that, of course, food prices have risen 36% faster in Canada than they did in the United States during the last 4 years, and that gap grew in line with the carbon tax. The leader of the NDP apparently likes to shop at Metro, for which his brother's company is the chief lobbyist. So maybe the leader of the NDP can tell us, 24 Liberal MPs have lost confidence in the Prime Minister. Will the leader of the NDP finally vote for a carbon tax election?
Mr. Speaker, there wasn't a question for the government in that, but let me reiterate that multiple analysts, economists, and the Parliamentary Budget Officer have indicated that lowering inflation has made it easier on Canadians, and the price on pollution that delivers the Canada carbon rebate to Canadians right across the country and puts more money in their pockets is actually helping Canadians with affordability. But if the Leader of the Opposition really wanted to help with affordability, he wouldn't have voted against dental care. Right. He wouldn't have voted against a national school food program that's saving hundreds of dollars a year to parents right across the country.
Liberal MPs know now, because their constituents keep telling them, that the carbon tax is driving up the cost of food. They wanted to go to caucus today and tell the Prime Minister that Canadians are literally starving, some eating out of dumpsters because of the carbon tax. But he sent out his immigration minister to attack them, saying that they are, quote, garbage. What's garbage is the Prime Minister's record doubling housing costs, driving up food prices, and forcing people to eat out of dumpsters. Will he stop treating his own MPs and Canadians like garbage?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
I think the Leader of the Conservative Party shouldn't be bragging that none of his MPs have asked him to get a security clearance so that he can actually protect his party from foreign interference. That none of his MPs have spoken out. That having one of their members go down to Florida on an all-expenses-paid trip by an extreme anti-abortion church is just fine for all of their MPs. And that, quite frankly, none of them have any issue with a member on their front bench dining with a neo-Nazi. Mr. Speaker, I would hope some of his members in his caucus would speak up about some of the problems.